Hi, everybody. My name is Mariah, and I did my persuasive speech on how men and women really aren't that different. So, man, stop acting like a girl. Women just want to be loved, and men just want to be respected. Real men don't cry. Any of these sound familiar? Society and culture has painted the narrative that women and men are on two completely different sides of the spectrum. But are they really? Women are emotional, men are physical. Women cry, men don't. But how many of this is really actually true? 57% of this class agreed with the statement that men and women aren't that different. So after doing some research and making several different observations, I realized that we really do share a lot of the same characteristics. So the purpose of this speech is to expose the hidden truths behind how similar men and women really are. And throughout this speech, I will be debunking the myths behind the way we express our emotions, our neurological structure, and our communication styles to ultimately prove that yes, men and women, we are different in a lot of ways. But if you take a closer look, we're a lot more similar than you might think, and we really aren't that different. So this brings me to my first myth, myth number 1, which is men and women are intrinsically different. Therefore, this affects the way that they express their emotions. Wrong. Contrary to popular belief, the way you express your emotions is actually learned, not innate. So, for example, America originated as a patriarchal society, which means it was a male-dominated society. Men were in places of leadership everywhere. And so because of this, the way society began to shape the way that men were supposed, or what was accepted on how they were supposed to express their emotions, which was not at all. This led to toxic masculinity in men and extreme socialistic views of women, of femininity in most women. And also things like normative male alexithymia became very prevalent in a lot of men. And so normative male alexithymia refers to the fact that traditional masculine role socialization has channeled many men into ways of being such that their masculine identity conflicts with what they feel and what they are allowed to express. So their inner feelings and their outward socialized view of a man is conflicting with what they feel versus what they're allowed to express as a man. Also, a post from the Huffington Post states that young boys are taught early that expressing their emotions is taboo. So men and women, we really have a lot of the same emotions, but expressing them, yes, that might be different, but this is not an innate quality. Rather, society teaches us how we're supposed to express our emotions based on our gender. And we are taught this at a young age. So this brings me to myth number 2, which is men and women are wired differently. Therefore, they communicate differently. Wrong again. So this one is a little bit more common. However, most people might not know this, that the way you communicate is also learned, similar to my last point. So the number one thing that most people believe make men and women so different is their difference in communication style. But 86% of people in this class, when surveyed, agreed with the statement that the way you do communicate is learned. A bit of information from the book entitled Interpersonal Communication, Building Connections Together by Terry Quall and Michael W. Gamble explains that, similar to my first point, it says, culture also shapes gender, and gender shapes communication. Socially accepted variations in the definitions and views of masculinity and femininity, or gender differences, are taught to us as we grow up. So, it is true that men and women, they do communicate differently. However, a male or female communication style is not exclusive to just one gender. The way you communicate is learned. So, now all all of these things have to come from somewhere innate. I mean, we don't communicate differently innately, and we don't innately express our emotions, differently. Okay, we're different. Okay, but where is this coming from? So this brings me to myth number 3, which is men and women have 2 different brains. This was a shocker. I know, wrong. Men and women do not have 2 different brains. Actually, there is no such thing as a male and female brain. This was shocking to me too. But Lise Elliott, professor of neuroscience at Chicago Medical School, states the brain is a unisex organ. Daphne Joel, at Tel Aviv University in Israel, also states there is no such thing as a male and female brain. There are not 2 types of brain, she says. The brain, therefore, is a unisex organ. Behavior is more tied to socialization, similar to what I was saying before, than male or female brain structure. So Professor Joel did a study of 1,400 people, of around people from the ages of 13 to 84, and came to the conclusion that yes, there are sex differences in brain structure. However, an individual brain has a mix of features, and there are not 2 types of brain, a male or female. Each person's brain has a mix of male qualities and female qualities. There is no 2 types of brain. So, with these findings, I've come to a clear conclusion. In order to debunk the myths and preconceived notions about how different people believe men and women really are, you need to discuss the way we communicate, the way we express our emotions, and the way our brains function, our neurological structure. So, all in all, men and women communicate and express their emotions. The way they communicate and express their emotions is learned. It is not innate. And there is no such thing as a male or female brain. The brain is a unisex organ, proving this point that men and women really aren't that different after all. We're a lot more similar than a lot of people might think. So, now that you know that men and women really aren't that different, do you still think you're acting like a girl? Thank you.